Hello, everyone. This is Brother Benson, and I'm joined with Miguda. Miguda, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, bro. I'm managing so well. How about you?
I'm managing too so well. Where have you been? How did your assignment go? Because, like, for the past few days, you've been missing in action, or do we say on action? Which one is which?
Actually, I've been missing in action
Yes.
and I'm yet to do away with my assignment.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
right here back, but we are just trying to also make up.
Mm.
We are doing many things other than coming to engage our viewers. There are other things behind the curtains that are
Yes.
very fundamental
Mm-hmm. That
that
is
must be attended to.
Yeah, oh, that is good. Something that I came to realize, I don't know whether we have mispressed priority or what is happening about the government reducing capitation, especially when it comes to neck. Did you saw that? You said that the government has reduced school capitation money for neck help and allocation, and you find that the money that is allocated maybe sometimes to renovate, especially even like the office of the Nyayo house is supposed to be renovated, and even the state house, and we are reducing the allocation for capitation. What does that one speak to you? What is your comment on that?
Actually, the capitation was increased. I think
Yeah.
I'm a victim of the increment of the capitation when I was in high school. At
Yeah.
that time, it was the first term of Uhuru and
Mm.
Ruto when they were serving their first term. They
Mm-hmm.
even, like us, we never paid for the Kenya National Examination Council certificates in high school, but in primary we paid. In high school, we never paid registration, everything. They did that
Mm.
for us. But I believe that it should go on with the even cash name because we are having currently the CBC, the cash
Yeah.
name. They should cater
Mhm.
for them. They should not allow parents to pay. But I think that currently they are doing it that because they are doing away with the 844 system.
Mhm.
Therefore, they have decided to reduce capitation. That could be the reason behind their reduction. But all in all, they should reconsider that the public and private students, what they did was they should be applicable to the younger
Yeah.
people because even the CASNET, even the junior secondary, the senior secondary, there's that exam that involve people nationally. They should
Yeah.
just reconsider. And also, you have talked the issue of help. Now they're
Yeah.
also trying to project that because they are doing away with the 844 system.
Mm.
Now, people who are going from junior secondary to high school, from high school to college, and the introduction of the TVETs and also the development of the universities into
Mhm.
the county level and sub counties. Now, it will enable people to even, in terms of accommodation, some can come from their home to universities, come from their
Yeah.
home to TVETs, unlike before where people could move to Nairobi, people could move to
Mhm.
the JQuat, the KU, the MKU. I think that
Yeah.
could be the argument behind the reduction of the capitation.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm seeing in Jiru Mwaura saying, great. Okay, that's good. And Jiru, I hope you're doing fine. So, there's also another issue that is also trending. The members of parliament who are locked out of their offices in KICC, and Makubura would want to get your thought on this. And they are only owing the management almost of 50 billion. And in the process, they were just asking, there was that negotiation so that they can access their parking lot. What does it one tell you? The members cannot pay. They are owing such big large of money. And these are member of parliament. They cannot pay their rent. What's happening?
Okay, thank you. Good evening. What I can say about that is I call that's negligence, and also there is bit that we also need to understand that
Yeah.
you know the leaders, all these people that are in big offices,
Yes.
there are things that they do which to them they think it is okay. but on the views of the people that they are leading, it is not really, really okay. So you'll find that sometimes, of course, it is the
Mhm.
relevant authorities who are supposed to be doing the remittance, but they just opt to not to do at times.
Yeah. Mhm.
And the question you're asking is why would they not do that? And that is a sign of corruption, and that's it. Actually, that is the basic explanation of what corruption is, and that
Why
is
is it
how it also.
corruption? Maybe there's no money. If they cannot pay the office, they don't have money.
I don't think they don't have money.
Yeah.
You know, the National Assembly, the members of Parliament, those are the most paid in Africa after Nigeria. I was doing a research and I realized that the Nigerian members of Parliament are highly paid,
Yeah.
then closely followed by Kenyan members of Parliament. If suppose there was need of payment for the rent,
Hmm.
then automatically more of the money they are getting, some of it they would slash and do the payment. Or there's a way, structured
Yeah.
way,
Hmm.
as diplomats that they would have managed to do that, because it is an embarrassment to the people of Kenya. It is an embarrassment to the republic, and so people are asking that hizi pesa mingi hizi zenye mnajiongeza na nini, you cannot even make ways and find ways of going to clear things to do with the rents.
Okay.
So it is negligence on the side of leadership. That is what I would say.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm seeing one of our brothers here too. One Dame 99. Welcome. Gypsy Corner. Thank you so much. Jiro will be joining in the next 30 minutes, and we hope all of you are doing fine. We are just welcoming you to the conversation that we have today, and we just want to talk about the Uhuru Kenyatta and Muhoho, and this one regard to the statement that he made, especially after his brother, I mean Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, said that the youths, he was just having the youth to take the rightful places in participating in the governance and leadership of this country. And Muhoho Kenyatta is one of the founding father's son who has never been so much in the political limelight. And he has been, I would say that he has been the manager of maybe the empire of the Kenyatta. But recently, I think it was last week, then he came out and talked about the youths. And the same was also done before by Uhuru Kenyatta. He did it in Uganda when he had a convention with youths where he did talk more about it. And today also with the Finnish president also talked about it. And this is what he said, I quote, "Do not be spectators," tells Kenya youths on the new world order. Just is just asking the youth. So to me, this one something that comes to my mind when I read this from this president is that they've recognized the Kenyan youth. Yeah, they know the Kenyan youth are so much searched, especially when you go to the internet, especially the social media. The Kenyan youth are most talked about. If you go to Nigeria, they will tell you that Kenyan should be given to be the king of, Kivon, based on especially when it came to Finance Bill 2024. That was in June. That has made them. But now, when it comes from Muhoho, there's something that maybe we look at political angle. There's something that he might be communicating. So maybe to start with you, Makobura, what is your take on the president who was visiting the country, who said, "Do not be spectators," and this it was telling the Kenyan youths.
I like the fact that Kenyan issue is actually an international issue. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing I also like is that more of leaders whom the president and the people in power have always thought that would come out to defend their hill motives, and the ones who are
Mm.
coming out to remind the people of Kenya of their rights. They're the
Yeah.
ones who are coming out to call for the rights, I mean, respect of life and dignity of the people of Kenya. We saw that with the United States through their what is his name, through their representative, who
Mm-hmm.
also was very specific, reminding the president that there is democracy and the constitution. I mean, the democracy allows movement of people and people having different opinions when it comes to issues to do with political stance. And that is a good move. We also saw the Pope of the Catholic Church also came out during the Gen Zs and a continued call for respect of human rights and
Yep.
the rights of the people. It is a good move that the president of Finland is also in the country and he wants to understand all these accusations that is heard about the government. And if you can remember, yesterday it forced the president to even lie to the
Mm-hmm.
people of the country and also to the whole world, while when he said that those people who are abducted, all of them have been returned to their families, of which is not the truth. The truth of
Mm-hmm.
the matter is there is a good number of people who are abducted. Some of them have not been returned back to their families. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them families are still fighting for justice. You know, yesterday, like I said, if you watched news, there's a gentleman who was abducted, and their families are still crying in courts as late as yesterday. So that is being insincere. As a president or as a leadership, they have to come out and defend the rights as per what the constitution talks about. I also like the fact that the president of Finland, also asked about the scam of students. I mean, workers who are supposed to be taken to Finland, and the president clarified. The Finland president said that that was so uncalled for. It is so embarrassing, and it's not a good move that any leader would actually find comfort in such kind of environment. So I think it is a call all over the entire world, and all these calls are directed to the people of Kenya. They're reminding the people of Kenya that as a people, we have a constitution, we are one of the best countries. We need to focus, we need to know, we need to understand our future. Understanding our future means that we need to fight and ensure that everything that is geared towards the betterment of our country is what we fight for. Youths coming out to continually remind the leadership, remind the leaders of their call. They came out and requested the people, laying down the agenda, telling the people that if you give me a chance, this and this and this and this I'll sort. But now that
Yes.
they are in power, they are forgotten. Instead of doing as per their promises, and it's so unfortunate that the young people are coming out to remind them, instead of the young people being listened to. What the young people meet on the street are police officers and bullets and tear gas and a lot of injustice. So it is still our call as a people and also as a youth that our lives and our futures belong to us. We have to stand up firmly and consistently. The same comments, of course, were echoed by the former president Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. He had consistently told the people of Kenya, especially the youths, to fight for their rights. If we sit down, these people are going to get into corrupt dealings. They're going to take a lot of debts, and it is us who will pay. The brother of the former president also came out and told people the same. And to me, it is a good move. What I would then request from them is if they're calling they used to come out, they should also come out and also aid in this movement. That is my call.
Okay, thank you so much, and we will talk about maybe the political angle, what we think about the political angle of Muhoho Kenyatta calling upon the youth, since he's one person that have never involved himself in politics, because in that family, Uhuru Kenyatta has been the face of politics. Yeah, so Miguda, what is your take? And as you give your take, I want to know if the president say that those who are abducted have the abductees have reunited with their family. Who brought them back? That is one. Then, secondly, what about those who lost their lives? What is the way forward for them?
First, I want to, before I delve into the issue of abduction, you have asked about why Muhoho have insisted on the youths together with his brother Uhuru Kenyatta. They have
Yeah.
been advocating for the young people to rise up for their rights. Actually, I also want to bring it into the global context. Right now, you have asked me maybe where I've been. I'm working actually. Actually, me, I'm a writer. I write for the jurist as a columnist, as a correspondent in Africa. So when I
Yeah.
was engaging my fellow staffs, I have a friend from Ghana and another one from Chicago. So when we were having a round table virtual meeting, then they asked me, what do you want to write about this week? I proposed that I want to write about the BBC documentary on the Black Parliament. Then before I conclude my submission, all of them responded to me, wow, that
Mm-hmm.
one hit the entire world. So whenever we try to make our arguments, we are speaking from a global perspective of view. Because the
Mm-hmm.
Ghana people in West Africa actually have acknowledged the fact that the Kenyan youths have a price to save to fight for their rights. At the same time, the
Yeah.
youths from Chicago have also
Yeah.
recognized us. And if you go deep to the jurist, you understand that actually we have been recognized. And we are also organizing to bring her. Brother Benson, I think I'm working with her seamlessly so that next month we are likely to host that friend from Ghana. That's why
Okay.
I also want to also add what Mark Kubura have said, that the Muhoho and Uhuru, they have that global perspective of views, the way they view things. They understand that currently the youths have been recognized
Mm-hmm.
and they can use them as a tool for politics in terms of coming out in rallies,
Yeah.
also mobilizing. That is why the youth of Kenyans must be talked about, and it's a debate that's going on globally. For those of our viewers who actually do not know, we have been recognized in the global as the youth of the Republic of Kenya. You have asked me about the issue of abductions, and I want to put it right that we know who the abductors were. We know who abducted Kenya's people. But now we are being told that they have been reunited to the people, their
Yeah.
families. That is
Yeah.
fine. How did they know that all of them have been united? Of course, they have the information because they are privy to the information.
Yeah.
But who was abducting the Kenyans? Who were doing all those stuffs? And also, you have asked the issue of the people who lost their lives. Like we have said before, that once a life has been lost, it cannot be gotten back. Now we believe that what about the people who lost their lives? Have they also been reunited to their family? Have their family received the dead people? Because
Mm-hmm.
that is the argument. Because during abductions, not only that people were detained incommunicado, all people
Mm-hmm.
disappeared, but some people also lost their lives. What about the people who lost their lives? Have they been reunited back to their life? Have they gotten that life back? And that's why we have insisted, and we will insist no
Mm-hmm.
matter what. We will insist, come what may, that no one should be killed, no one should be maimed. Each and every person has a right to live freely. So the
Yeah.
question we are asking from the angle of our view as the young people,
Yeah.
that the fact that Mr. President has put it right in the face of the globe, that the Kenyan people who are abducted, all of them have been reunited back to their family. But we're still having some questions, that who was the person behind the abduction, and
Yeah.
actually the people who reunited them, are they responsible for their acts? Those are the questions
Mm-hmm.
we're asking. And also, lastly, we are glad because the fact, like I've said before, that we have been acknowledged globally. And
Yeah.
even the Finland president, when they, even the other time we had a king in this country, all of them have asked the question. The journalists who have accompanied them have asked the question of abductions. That's a very significant, that Kenyan youths have been acknowledged globally, and we, the young people, we are the people who are going to actually write the story of this country.
Thank you so much. And when we talk about issue of abduction, I think this is one of the questions that will give Mr. Ruto very headache in terms of answering this question. And every time he will be answering this question, he might be not be giving the exact same answers as what he gives on a daily basis. And that one will come and question his is maybe why is it that the consistency, especially when it comes to the answering of the questions? Because remember when the same question was asked about in Kisumu, he said that those who have not found their loved one should bring them. Remember that when he was asked that one in Kisumu, when he had a town hall meeting in Kisumu, and yeah, uh, let me see if I can get a video of that. I think I can get a video whereby he was talking, but like the answer he gave is quite much different with the answer he gave yesterday. So I think in his administration, this will be one of the most asked question in his administration everywhere. Whether he visits international, he will be asked about this. Whether any international media comes, he will be asked about this, and this will form, if I might not be wrong, this will form part of campaign for the 2027, especially with his opponent. Thank you so much, everyone. I see Njiru is asking for link, and I think Makubura has shared the link. Before also we look at the significance of Muhoho Kenyatta maybe involving himself in politics. Hey, Mr. Njiru, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, thank you, sir. I'm doing well.
Yes.
I'm just joining this great podcast. Nimesikia leo mnaongea maneno mazuri.
Yeah.
Na ndio nimekuja. But I will be joining in as you roll over. I have been listening behind the background.
Yeah.
Nimekusanyia watu wa chat section hapo. Naona one dem. Siku hizi one dem is using our studio as a bedroom. Unajua in our channel tunasemanga hivyo story ya bedroom when somebody comes and ukimuongelesha aongei.
Hebu hata wewe nikuulize swali.
Okay.
Kwa sababu nimepata kwamba wewe kila mtu uko na definition ambao unampatia. Leo pia naona jana ilikuwa gypsy corner, leo ni one dem. Kwani nini nafanyika?
No. That's how it is the chemistry of operation.
Okay.
Tunajuana sana, so we so kama one day siku ingine amekuja kwa studio sasa akajifunika blanketi sasa tunafanya nini? Yeah, we have that term of bedroom. So when you come into the studio and you are not talking, we but some of them we have agreed that to give them open spaces, awalipe rent, unakuja tu unalala tu, no rent payment.
So naona by the way, talking about issue of rent, and you saw today that the offices of members of parliament, especially at KICC, has been locked because of rent arrears. What do you make of that?
Nothing will work in Kenya. So me personally, I don't get amused of anything. We don't have a modest president. You have seen like the interviews of the president of Finland. You have seen what it means to be a modest leader. A modest leader. Let me tell you something. Maybe niwafurahishe leo kidogo. We know politics is lies by nature. That is what politics. So politics is lies. Is use of language to convince people, and for you to reach some level of conviction. It's so what happens in politics is you have to balance between lies and truth. You have always to balance. That is what happens. So I will not say that there's no politician in this world who does not lie.
Yes.
But what happens is that between lies and truth, there is also the perceptionally accepted issues. Yes. Like for example, you can say like Kenya is a rising giant. Kenya is a rising giant.
Yes.
It could be a truth, it could be a lie. But that is some of the so when you listen to Mr. Ruto, and that's why the reason why uongo ya Ruto hata mtoto amezaliwa leo anaweza kuirecognize. Because when you are lying, your lies should be a bit convincing There are things which are doable. So as a leader,
Yep.
you don't need to come out as an open liar. Yani wacha tu hata ile kitu tu umeambia watu ikuwe tu ni vile tu yani imeshindikana because something beyond human nature did not work, lakini tu isikue ni ile tu uongo iko tunasemanga in my language iko juujuu kama mongorwa. Mongorwa let me tell you what is mongorwa. Mongorwa ni kama kasava. Umeiona saa zingine kasava kwa shamba zikuwa zimezaana sana mpaka hata zingine zinaanzia kutokezea juu kwa soil.
Yeah.
So that's what we are. So that is the problem of Ruto. And I don't know why Ruto is not learning from all presidents around the world. Even Museveni, by the way, Museveni does not lie to that extreme level of Ruto. Let me tell you, nikuelezea hii kidogo. When Ruto is saying that people have been repatriated back to their homes,
yes,
abductees have been repatriated back to their homes, is that a statement factual? Like, for example, a president comes and says that wale watu wote walikuwa wametekwa nyara washarudishwa kwao. Like, it's a statement from the president. Is it verifiable? Is that statement verifiable?
It's not, but at the same time, you know, if president says that, no, that one also will form a basis of another continuation of a question, because once you say that they've come back, so my question, the question could be, the first question is that, what about those who lost their lives?
Brother Benson, any person who lost his life, according to Ruto, he is not thinking about him. So forget about when it comes to people who have lost their lives, Ruto is not thinking about that. Wewe ulikufa na story yako iliisha. No wonder you are even hearing one of the registrar who is supporting Mr. Ruto claiming that watu ukufa all the time, watu ukufa na tunasonga mbele. Mulisikia huyo beshte?
Is from one of the northeastern. Is it Garissa or where?
Yeah, but that is what they are saying. Yeah, alisema vifo sio vitu ya kututisha like yani kifo si kitu ya kutisha raia.
Yeah.
People die and we move on. That's what they are saying. So anything to deal with the death, remember, these are the people who Ruto in his, and remember that there is insight in the fast thinking. There is insight in the fast thinking. These people are the same people who Ruto called the criminals in his past speech. He said the criminals attacked the parliament. That is what he said in his word. So, hata ile wakati alikuja ku apologize, don't take that. Always take the fast thinking. The fast thinking tells you a lot. So, according to Ruto, Gen Zs were criminals. So, how do you want Ruto to talk about the deaths of criminals? So, we are trying to ask for something which Ruto cannot give.
Okay.
And it is so unfortunate that we want Ruto to deliver wine and he cannot even deliver water. So Ruto is a bad man. He is not a modest president. Who is a modest? You know, right now, the era of Idi Amin, the era of Hitler is gone. The era of strong men, when like you could witness the killing of masses and you had no remorse. So that era is gone. So we are in an era whereby a leader should be emotional. Have you ever seen Ruto being emotional because people have died? Remember, the first death Ruto to witness was the people who died of France, pale Naivasha. Mnakumbuka wale watu walikufa karibu 60 pale Naivasha walibebwa na dem. Kuna watu walikufa pale Naivasha wakati something happened in Naivasha. That was the first major killings, major deaths, not killing, major deaths which happened to Ruto. Even before Shakahora, or maybe they happened even with the Shakahora at the same time. So we are having people dying in Shakahora.
No, you're talking about the dam. The dam, I think, was Uhuru administration.
Wewe.
The soil, is it what dam? Something dam.
Kuna watu walikufa waliuawa na mvua during Ruto administration. Forget about
the flood. The flood that swept away the easy coach and all that.
Wachana na hiyo. Kuna there is a place watu wachana na ile demu ilibeba watu. Kuna pali ingine somewhere hapo Naivasha watu walibebwa.
I think like maybe you are talking of Solai Dam, but Solai Dam I think was in
Solai is a case is another case. I'm
Okay.
talking of people in Naivasha hapo, watu walikuwa wanatolewa kwa manyumba wakiwa usingizi na maji.
Okay.
We have those two cases. We have those two cases. People are carried by, I don't know if it is floods or what, and I'm not talking of Hell's Gate, because Hell's Gate, there is also crazy things which also happen there. So what I'm trying to say is that Ruto has witnessed massive deaths. You know, when people die more than 50 in a single tragedy, you expect the president to come with a lot of remorse. You expect the president, rais akuji hapo amenyenyekea na akiwa hata anashindwa na kutembea. Kuna vile, like the way in which mass death. Wewe umewahi sikia Ruto amesikia watu wamekufa pahali 50? Umewahi sikia Ruto anashindwa na kukula? Ama unasikia, or you see him like even saying that we need a concerted effort, we need to understand, we need I want you go and look anywhere where people have died in masses and you see Ruto reaction. He reacts basically. So according to Ruto, to him, death is not something which puts him can make him even start thinking that how watu wamekufa. Let me tell you something as we inject this information. When you hear people saying you are not presidential, let me tell you the key character. Let me tell you the biggest job of a president is capacity to unite with the people in times of problems. That is why that is the demeanor which we look for. How can the president collect himself if a country is attacked? Is he able to bring people under one accord of remorse and within a way of reckoning your heart? Is that person able to bring you? Let's assume, I'm not saying it will happen. Let's assume today Kenya is attacked. Is Ruto able to bring that mood to the people, that mood of remorse? Because a country needs to heal when the calamities happen. Is Ruto capable of healing a nation if a problem happens? Ama tu anaendaka tu pale tu kwa sababu kusema sijui what sijui wawa. So that's why I'm telling you, we have a president who is not presidential, because Ruto is not presidential, for your information. When I talk of presidential, is capacity of a leader to have that demeanor, capability of correcting your heart and bringing people into the same reasoning and being able to understand what is happening. Ruto has never been remorseful of any death. Ruto has never, ajawai, even when somebody is dead and anauliza na si huyo mtu wako hai. Let me tell you, we just have a wrong person in a very vital position.
I think at some point, Jiru, we know he might be having weaknesses, but like there are some points where he has come out to address the nation and maybe tell people to unite. Or how should he be presidential? How can you know that now?
How do you, you see, I think, how do you unite on abductions? And how do you tell people to unite and you are the person causing havoc? You see, you shida ya Ruto. Ruto always tells us we unite on things which is the problem.
But now you know, okay, I agree with you, but at the same time, now just to be very fair enough, because like especially in media, when you say like that, maybe you might be having a concrete evidence to justify what you're saying, that this person is not presidential. But we've seen on several occasions, maybe not so many occasions, but we've seen him coming with that national outlook, especially in terms of strategy. I mean, like strategy. That I mean, like whether tragedy have occurred in the country. I've seen cases whereby he has come out to talk as a president.
But what about the demeanor? Have you ever seen his body language? Have you seen Ruto even going to the Arrows anywhere?
Yeah.
Umeona Ruto amebeba maua ameenda kuwekelea pahali?
Yeah.
Nauliza.
But you know, something here that I'm not defending him, but also we have to look at his office and the handlers, the people who are handling his office, you know, and his demeanor. You know, there's the demeanor that you might require from somebody, but he doesn't have it. Maybe the way he's expressing it might not be that is accommodative to you, but that's how he's created. You know, that is something that you cannot change from somebody. That's how we have to agree. Not everybody.
Let me tell you.
Let's say, for example,
human beings are remorseful. when they are hit.
Yeah.
There is no any strong man in
Yeah.
terms of calamity. You have seen, ngoja kidogo, you have seen Putin. Unaona hata Putin saa zingine unaona hata watu wakikufa, unaona hata zile saa zingine Putin anakaa pale, unaona hata ametulia kabisa, yani amegongwa. Huyu ni mtu gani ambaye hata roho yake iwezi bubunjika, roho yake iwezi nyenyekea?
Yeah, so like there's something here that Gitonga is saying. Benson, there is a difference between sympathizing and mocking the dead. I agree with you. Yes, so I agree, because I agree with you, and I know some incidences whereby I can quote, and we saw that and I agree with it. But now when it comes to the demeanor of that person, let's say the character traits of the president that we were having, the Finnish president, it depends how was he brought up and how does he express himself,
Okay, nimekuelewa. So let me come on the, you see, the fact that you have a wife.
Yeah.
Especially if Ruto was a single man, he has never married, I would exonerate him from that character.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to talk is that the demeanor of remorse is well characterized by how you treat a woman in time of issues. Like wakati sasa bibi yako anakuja anakuambia I have issues, the way you try now to calm down with her. It is the same way. That is the character which I don't see in Ruto.
Oh, okay.
What I'm expecting to see in Ruto is sahi kuna let me tell you, like, have you seen even some presidents of nations wanaenda pahali, anaenda anakuta pahali kuna salamu kubwa, unaona anaanzia kulia. It's not even
Brother
about
Ben, I partly agree with Brother Njiru, because if you can remember during the reign of President Uhuru Kenyatta,
yeah,
sometimes when things had happened and then he would appear, and by just giving that speech, the country would actually be waiting for him to speak, and then after he speaks, there would be some calm in the country.
Yeah, now then kidogo, and then
we are not seeing this in this government.
Na your speech lazima ikue, that speech has to bring some elements like we are together in this. Even it comes even to the speech writers who write for that. That's why I'm telling you, Ruto is just having quirks. Like kuna speech ukisema pale, we are together in this.
Yeah.
Not alone. We will rise up again. Listen to how speeches from the globally, how these people are speaking. This thing is not going to break us. We are going to stand strong as a community, and I know we are going to conquer this mayhem. I know this one is the reason why Ruto cannot show that remorse. It is because he knows it will happen again. Anajua watu watabebwa na maji tena. So why would he be willing to come hapo to talk of things which he knows even they are not even ready to put measures? The reason why people are remorseful and they feel heaviness in their heart is because you want to work hard so that hizo vitu zisitendeke tena. How do you want to feel? How do you feel the pain and you are double sure that your government is careless na hizo vitu zitatendeka tena? Watu, they are the same. Like, have you seen even Ruto coming out even to trying and collecting himself wakati watu wameuawa hapo Naivasha? Sio Naivasha, hapo Ongata Rongai, panaitwa Ongata something. There were 5 people who were killed there. Wao waliuawa na polisi. Did you see even Ruto coming out and sympathizing? Did you see him? Like, I expect a leader, hata kama ni mtu mmoja amekufa hivi. That one try to show you the problematic nature of Africans in respecting life. In Africa, once you are dead, you are dead. No one is respecting that life. I wish we had a point of focus whereby if one unavoidable death, because those are avoidable deaths, if one avoidable death occurs, it is very heavy on the government. How watu wanakuja wanalipwa fidia mzuri. Kama I was expecting, because how watu wa Ongata waliuliwa na polisi. Let me tell you, if you want to make people not to be killed anyhow, just say that any death by a policeman, it is equivalent to 1 billion. It is equivalent to 1 billion. Unasema polisi akiua mtu, that person will, the government will pay that person 1 billion. Uniambia makuna mtu ataua, because, but the issue why our policemen can easily kill you kama kuku, it is because they know there is no repercussion. and the government cannot follow it up because they know there's no repercussion. Ingekuwa ya kwamba polisi amekuua unalipa 1 billion. Is the government ready to lose 1 billion? Bwana Obura, is government ready to lose 1 billion? So they will work on it. So what you do if you want a government to change, and these are things which our government are not doing, you put a very heavy punishment on a vice, such that hata mtu kufikiria kufanya hiyo kitu hawezi fikiria. That is what you do. But the fact that you can just allow people to do things anyhow, that is a problem. So Mr. Ruto, we are just trying to request look at the interview that Finnish president. You will understand the demeanor which I'm talking about. Somebody being collected. Huh? No, there's no any development in justice which Ruto is addressing. Ruto is among the worst human beings ever created. You cannot tell me about that. There is something which Ruto is addressing in Kenya. How is he addressing injustices at the same time he is stealing? We are hearing of corruption. We are hearing of nepotism. We are hearing of he cannot allow any dissent. People are being abducted. Let me tell you, maybe the day when Ruto administration killed young people, hiyo ndio ile siku nilimalizana na yeye. Hata alete maana Kenya, I will never agree with him, because to me I believe life is everything. Those people who were killed by his administration will never see sunshine again. Na ni watu wangekuwa hai na wangekuwa watoto wengine. He was not allowed. So hata Ruto afanye hiyo maendeleo, unajaribu kusema the fact that his administration killed people, we did an injection point. We will never agree with him again. Na mimi until Ruto retires, ama aende kule ataenda wherever, ama rule yake, I will never support Ruto with my body and my body organ. I will never, and I will never be patriotic to him. I will be patriotic to Kenya, but I will never be patriotic to him as a president of Kenya, because the fact that young people died under his watch, mimi nilimalizana na yeye. Those 60 people, ama ni watu 200, all those people were abducted by the government. That was the point of escape between me and Ruto, and I will never agree with his administration. Na hakuna kitu mimi na Ruto tutawai sikizana na yeye. And it is that clear about that. The fact that young people died in our nation under his watch, mimi nilimalizana na yeye. Wewe kuwa rais wa wengine, but you are not my president. Yes, he is not my president. I cannot support a presidency which has instituted killing. That is my bitter truth. Personally, I don't support killer presidents. I don't support killer presidents.
Okay, thank you, Brother Njiro. I'll get back to you. Miguda, I'm coming to you. There's this call coming from, of course, leaders from within, of course, led by the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, and also leaders from these other countries that Kenya somehow maybe depended on. All of them are saying that we have the democracy, and the democracy guarantees or gives the people that right to question and to even demonstrate when they feel so, and such kind of things. Now there's this call of youths to stand up and fight for their future. My question to you is, you as a youth, Mr. Miguda, what is the best way of youths coming out to fight for their rights without them going to meet the police officers on the roads, without them being killed? What is the best way? Maybe your take. And do you think we can, as a youth, we will get the support from all these leaders who are calling for, reminding the youth that they fight for their rights and for their country and for their future? Mr. Miguda, and then Jiru, you'll also give us your take on that. The best way to, just go through the revolution that they're calling for.
The best way, I just believe that it should be inclusion, whereby youth should be included in the decision making of the country. This is why I insist on the inclusion, is because even if our current leaders or former leaders are urging us to come out in large numbers to fight for our rights, but at what expense? Because we fought for our rights, and you, Marco Buddha, you are on that demonstration you are part and parcel of that Gen Z protest during that breach to parliament. We fought, we were killed, we were abducted, but people like Mbadi were rewarded CS. People like Wandai were rewarded CS. Not that we are castigating them, but look at after we fought, what next? Even if Uhuru and others are urging us to fight, the question we are asking, we are fighting for who? They must be very clear. We cannot go to the street to fight to lose our lives so that people are going to get this position. That's why I begin by stating that there must be inclusion. Are youth included in decision making? If we can't be on that table, then it's high time we break that table, the way we have been popularly saying that this time now we are going to break that table. Youth must be on that table. Because we cannot go to street to fight, then there are other people who are going to negotiate behind us. That one will not happen. But we have also touched the issue of democracy. Democracy doesn't mean that we are only fighting on the street, that we must fight on the street, demonstrate, or we must fight online and be abducted. There are many avenues where we can fight. Even if you find yourself into parliament as a lawmaker, you can fight within parliament. If you find yourself as an officer of the judiciary, you can fight in the judiciary, or you can fight in the executive. Currently, we have youths who are the PS. They can fight in those executive, legislature, and judiciary. You can fight everywhere. You don't need to go to the street. And we are urging everybody, each and every youth, do not come out to demonstrate so that the police officers are going to kill you. Because after you are dead, the people who are going to be given position after you have lost your lives are not you people, not even the people who are at your caliber. They are going to recognize their friends and the big politicians. Therefore, youth should keep off from street to demonstrate. As a youth, I don't advocate for us to go back to the street to fight because we are tired of losing many lives and we're not getting anything. I'm also urging youths who are online that they should not press so much for that they are going to be abducted. Because when you are abducted, the president is coming out instead of defending you, say that you are being reunited by your family. Then I think we must be very strategic as young people, and we must also forge ahead. And we have also urged the people who can, if you are in capacity, contest for any seat. That is now you have asked me, how can we ensure that we make it without violence? We can go for these seats. There are vacant seats in this country. The entire parliament is vacant. People want new leaders. You can contest for those seats. Same time, you can also do it that we go, like we have said, registered massively, ensure that we participate in an election. People have been, why I don't like people coming out and telling people that Ruto is going to steal election, Ruto cannot be removed. It can be removed. I still believe that one. It can be removed. Ruto is not like that. It can be removed. Not that it cannot be removed. People are just trying to sell to you people fear that it cannot be removed. Don't register. No, you must register. You must come out in large number and vote. That is how we can do it peacefully. The reason why I want to also conclude by also trying to connect what you have asked me about the countries which have been the Kenyan country are dependent on those countries. Those countries are urging us to apply democracy because the era of terror has been overtaken by events. You cannot rule the current generation with terror. So even if the president want to operate like a despot, like a tyrant, it is not applicable. That's why those people are trying to also urge him to embrace the democracy and also embrace the rule by the people for the people. That is the democratic exercise. Lastly, I still insist that there is no way we are going to be used because if at all we are going to be given, like I've said before, if you are going to be given at least even a millennium, let them give a millennium a deputy president position. And also, even if a president must be a Gen X, but at least a deputy president, even the Speaker of the National Assembly should not be Wetangula. How old is Wetangula? We should have youthful people, someone who should be even around 35 years of age, should be a Speaker of the National Assembly. That is why I really believe that the only way that can be peaceful, there must be inclusion, and also there must be a point whereby we must agree that even though we are going to fight, but we are not going to fight for other people to benefit for what we have fought for. That one must be understood very clear, and we do not owe anybody any explanation why we are saying that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miguda. Brother Njiru, what is your take? There has been calls that the youths has to stand up and come out in their large numbers to fight for their future, to fight for, good leadership. The question we are asking is, should they get out for this demonstration? Will they get assistance?
I want to changia on that, and thank you for brother. Tunamwitanga Miguda ama what is his name?
Yes, Mr. Miguda. Yeah.
Miguda amekuwa a very paramount contributor hapa, na nimesikia hata amesema experience yake, he is a writer. Sikujua. I always thought that the only writers we have ni akina Professor Ngoge wa Thiong'o. Kumbe tuko na wengine ni vile hatuwajui. So mkubwa bana, Professor Ngoge wa Thiong'o is I think retired or is retiring. We use that one. So you need to take over that a lot. So tuanzie kuona novel zako, tuanzie kuona
Miguda, I hope umesikiza hiyo. I hope amekusikiza vizuri.
At least start bringing place to us. There is a lot you can now write about this regime. I have not seen a serious writer in Kenya, by the way, who is writing about the tribulations which are happening now. I don't know, like, where are Kenyan writers, by the way? Somebody can package a serious book about all the things which are happening, especially even this Gen Z revolution.
In Kenya today, if you try coming up with such kind of books, utalala ndani. So I think there's that fear.
Let me tell you, Ruto is a very small man, bana. Ruto is a very small. I don't know why. I don't know why. Huyu jamaa, let me tell you, Ruto hata hawezi fika level ya kina Putin.
You know what, Brother Njiru, let me tell you something. For example, my brother here, Miguda, he, like you said, he can write a book. But the question is, after writing the book, are you going to have peace? Will you work freely? And you still have, you have to survive. So that is the question that most of these people are asking. And there's that fear that has been instilled into some Kenyans. So that is one thing that we also have to accept. Even if you remember, yeah, I can hear you. Even if you remember the podcasters, those who are talking about the politics, some of them were silenced. And, they've not actually even come back. So it is a reality on the ground.
Let me tell you, although kuna mtu aliniambianga, wewe Njiru ni nini unasema, Ruto is a very small man, and na mimi anishtuangi ati like, I don't know why. Let me tell you, I've seen strong men in this life. I've not been born today. So when Bonobura, I tell you that I've seen strong men. I have seen people who could command power. Ruto cannot even command a fifth of what Putin commands. He cannot even command a fifth. Can Ruto even command 1/1,000 of what Kim Jong-un in North Korea is commanding? And some other strong men who I see around the world. So, but there's nothing bad in this life as a man who comes to attack his own citizens. Simply because those people are trying. Bwana Ruto has to understand, hata kuna kitu nataka kumwambia, disagreements are always there. Now, you will not cajole people, you will not push people into agreeing with you deliberately. Wacha niingie hiyo story ya Kenyatta and the Kenyatta family. In fact, we don't require Kenyatta family to tell us to fight for our right. That is an initiative which we can tell ourselves. We know things are not okay. So we don't need Kenyatta, we don't need his brother to tell us to fight for our lives. In fact, they are just becoming opportunists of the agitation and the silent revolution which is happening in Kenya. And what Uhuru and his brother and that kingship, what they are trying to do is they don't want to be punished by the revolution when it comes. Uhuru asha truncate na ameona ya kwamba an inevitable revolution is coming. What do? I better be on the windward side of the revolution. If I am on the reward side of the revolution, already Uhuru, hata kama he is cooperating with Ruto, he is not cooperating openly. Yeye hakujiingiza direct kama vile Raila alijiingiza. And that is why Raila has been openly been attacked, because Raila engulfed himself openly in the government. Akina Uhuru hata kama wanaoperate kuna vile yao ni kama like you need to stand it to understand. So that is the issue. So Uhuru is just trying to be on the bright side of the country. He doesn't want people to criticize him when chicken will come home to roast. The truth of the matter is that there is a silent revolution which is happening in Kenya. The Kenyan government will be taken over someday, even if not today. Something bigger than Gen Z revolution will come and engulf Kenya, because we are having a very big population which is awakened. And don't think that the Gen Z revolution was silenced. In fact, that Gen Z revolution will become viral. It will give rise into something else bigger. And I can assure you, a revolution is coming in, a breakup revolution, because we're already in a revolution process, but a breakup revolution will come in Kenya. And for the first time in the history of Kenya, you will hear Kenyan politicians being dragged, being removed from their offices, na wakiwa wanafanyiwa vitu vibaya sana. So what people are trying to do, they are just trying to identify with the revolution. They are not trying to block the revolution. So Uhuru is trying to help himself. He knows that things are going to boil and boil properly. Even if sio hii mwaka, but Kenyan revolution cannot be postponed. I'm telling you, a Kenyan president will be overthrown. Whether he mwaka next year ama mwaka mwingine. But we are standing on the periphery of a country which will overthrow its own president. And we are here and watch that space. So, Bwana Obura, to finish my statement, Uhuru is just trying to help himself. He is trying to embed himself into the history of Kenya. Even with the many evils which he has done, it reached a level whereby he understood the moment of time. So that's all what he is doing. So he is just trying to rejuvenate himself, re-engineer himself, bringing himself on the side of people. And to whether he supports the people, I don't know. But he is just trying to be on the right side of the history. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving your take. Asili is saying here that Njiru, stop making it look good for Uhuru. If Raila did wrong, Uhuru was a party. And yeah, I think that's the only comment.
Okay, 1 minute, Obura. I'm not saying it to look good for Uhuru. What I've said is that I have even said that even on the many evils he has done, Uhuru is trying to recreate himself. He is now putting himself on the right direction of revolution. I did not say that he is a good man. He is doing the right thing. But Nasema, Uhuru is just conniving. He is just coming on the side of people. That's why he is doing all those talks. I initially also said that he is cooperating with Ruto, but an advanced level of cooperation. And that's why I don't like all those things, because I don't know on what reign he is operating. But the truth of the matter is, Uhuru Kenyatta is trying to recreate and remain himself. Thank you. I would have to restart my computer because ni kama kila kitu imepotea. I'll be coming back. So you can be talking with the Obura, with the Miguda for a while.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe Miguda Gitonga here is saying that tribalism will kill us. Okay. Miguda, something else that we were talking about yesterday that we did not really get a clear explanation about is the ruling by the Supreme Court, by the court that what the Deputy Chief Justice did while he was appointing the bench to hear the to hear the impeachment of the former deputy president was declared as something that was illegal. And so the question we were asking is, where do we then go next? Does that then, does it then mean that we have a deputy president, Professor Kithure Kindiki, serving illegitimately as the deputy president? And another question that you can also clarify to us is, do you think Gachagua then, after that ruling, does he have another chance of being brought back as a deputy president? What does the constitution say or clarify about that, Mr. Miguda?
The fact of the case is very unequivocal that let me begin by answering your last point or your last ending. You asked me about whether DP former Gachagua can come back as the deputy president. That one is a big no. He cannot. Gachagua can only come back to the executive through a constitutional process. And the only constitutional process that can make Gachagua to come back to the executive is either we impeach Kindiki and nominate Gachagua, or we can go through another election with William Ruto as the presidential candidate and Gachagua as the deputy president. But as things stand right now, Professor Kithure Kindiki is the legitimate deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. Gachagua can only come back through constitutional process. Right now is the ex-deputy. Now, let me delve into details of the case. First, like we have said before, there was a court order from Kerugoya law courts that stopped Kindiki to be sworn in as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. And there was an order given by 3 judge bench that disallow the court order from Kerugoya and allow Kindiki to be sworn in. Those are different cases. Then we also have the constitution of the 3 judge bench by Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu. Now, the question at stake right now, which was taken to the Court of Appeal, was the issue of DCJ Philomena Mwilu has the right to constitute the 3 bench judge to hear and determine case of Rigathi Gachagua. That is what is at stake. So you must distinguish them and put them differently and deal with the issue of the DCJ Philomena Mwilu. So that's what was determined at the Court of Appeal. Now, my response is the process by Philomena Mwilu was outruled by the Supreme Court. But remember, during the High Court, there was that contest of that question. And the response was very clear that because we have a substantive question of the Constitution, whenever there is a substantive constitutional question, we go to that provisions in Article 152, 53. You understand that DCJ is the deputy CJ. Now, that is why she was mandated by the substantive question of the Constitution to carry out that task. That one aside. Now, the Court of Appeal has now made its ruling. But the ruling of Court of Appeal has not disallowed what the Kerugoya law court stated, or has not disallowed what the ruling of the judges stated. There is no connection of why Kindiki was sworn in, or there's no connection of why Kindiki ought not to be sworn in. And there's no connection of why Kindiki was nominated illegitimately without the IBC constituted with the reconstitution of the three-judge bench. So after you have distinct them, now let us deal with this reconstitution of the three-judge bench by the DCJ. Now people are moving to Supreme Court because the Court of Appeal is not final. They will move to Supreme Court for further interpretation. And that one does not stop Kindiki to serve as the legitimate deputy president. That's like I've told you. Rigathi Gachagua can only come back through constitutional process. He cannot come back because of the ruling of the Court of Appeal about the reconstitution of the DCJ. The people will ask you, now Migoda, you have stated very clearly, but how is it that Kindiki is serving as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya with this unconstitutional constituted bench? The response is Professor Kithure Kindiki. There was impeachment process by the Parliament and National Assembly, the Senate. And during the ruling by the three-judge bench, whether Kindiki to be sworn in or not, the main basic why Kindiki was sworn in was only on one condition, that public interest, that Kenyan people, or the provision, the timeline by the Constitution does not allow Kenyan state to have a president minus deputy president within a certain framework of time, because anything can happen to Kasongo. Kasongo can resign, Kasongo can sometimes, unfortunately, can die, Kasongo can be impeached. And in any circumstances, such things happen. What do you do with this office of the presidency? We must have a deputy president of the Republic of Kenya within a certain framework of time, because the other one was impeached. Now, this unconstituted bench by the Court of Appeal, which did it so, as a duty by them to allow or charge the swearing in of Kithure Kindiki, because the public interest and the question of the constitution that the Kenyan state must have a deputy president within a certain framework of time. Kindiki is serving as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya in accordance with the requirement and outline of the constitution and the public interest. But we understand that the process to some extent was illegitimate, because nomination of the president to National Assembly and approval minus IBC, that there was no IBC to clear Kindiki. And that the question of there was no IBC to clear Kindiki is also being dealt with separately at Court of Appeal. We are yet to get the findings. So that is where the case is. But the question is well answered, that the only route for Rigathi Gachagua to come back to the executive, the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, is through constitutional process. That is the only route you can make it the president of the Republic of Kenya. And the point also must be understood that the Court of Appeal is not the superior court that can make final decision. There is a superior court, the apex court, the Supreme Court, also has further interpretation, which we are waiting. And you cannot celebrate at the Supreme Court, at the Court of Appeal, and remember the original jurisdiction was at the High Court, that DCJ, under substantive constitutional questions, has a duty to perform whenever there is an absence of CJ. People might ask, why could CJ appear virtually? Or why could CJ state so? But there are some circumstances that maybe she can be sick, or maybe she was unavailable, maybe she was on leave, the constitutional duties must be discharged within the framework given by the constitutional timeline. We cannot wait for someone to come and perform that test, and we have a deputy chief justice by the name Philomena Mili. So those things must be understood at that level. And now I think people are now measuring on how can Rigathi Gachagua come back to the executive, but people were not looking at the ruling of the Court of Appeal. The ruling was that the bench was was constituted unconstitutionally, and that's now our focus should be on that. Why was that bench constituted unconstitutionally? Not how can Rigathi Gachagua come back to the executive. The only route is constitutional process. Back to you, Marco Buda.
Okay, thank you. That ruling has brought a lot of political, how do I put it? It has reignited a lot of political moves, especially by the opposition. Remember, previously, Gachagua would say that I'm not interested in being the president, but I'll be able and I'll easily support anyone for that position. And he mentioned names, whether it is Kalonzo, whether it is Matiang'i, or whoever. With that ruling, I'll just ask you again, does it mean that he's now permitted to run for any post? That is number one. And then number two, Gachagua officially resigned from UDA party. And he promised that he's going to unveil a party on Thursday, if I'm not wrong. How is that going to change, with that ruling and this party coming? How is it going to change the politics of the opposition and also the politics of the Republic of Kenya?
The first question, yes or no? Yes, depending on the outcome of the Supreme Court, because the matter must be concluded conclusively by the apex court. That's when I can give my opinion. But let us not celebrate right now that he has been permitted to run for presidency. Of course, he has been permitted right now. But what if the matter proceeds to the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court rely on the High Court decision and make it that the constitution, the reconstitution of that bench was in accordance with the constitution. It means that now it will be dealt with and concluded conclusively at the apex court. Right now, Rigathi Gachagua will not vie for any seat because he will stand impeached. The reason why I was saying yes is because sometimes it can proceed to the apex court and they rely on the court of appeal decision. With that, it can proceed to vie for the presidency. So it is a yes or no, depending on the timeline on the case will be concluded conclusively. Remember, let me cite one case, the case of Sonko. When Sonko was about to run for the Mombasa gubernatorial, it forced the legal team to go and seek clarification and further interpretation to the Supreme Court. Because with that gap, minus further interpretation of the Supreme Court, there was no clear indication that Sonko could vie or not. That's why they went further in Supreme Court for further interpretation, and the Supreme Court pronounced itself categorically that Sonko stand impeached, therefore cannot run for the gubernatorial. That's why the legal team must move swiftly to the apex court for us to get the conclusive information. That is now we can come here and debate. Number one, on your previous question, the only route for Rigathi Gachagua to executive is through constitutional process. Number two, Rigathi Gachagua fate will be determined by the apex court, whether he's going to run or not. We must wait. Lastly, you have asked me about the issue of the political temperature in Mount Kenya and the political now realignment, the fact that he can run or not. There is still this probability. We are not certain sure that he might run or not. But in case he doesn't run for the president, in case he doesn't, in case the Supreme Court permit him to run, I can tell you that we are going to have a Mount Kenya candidate for the presidency. There's no way Gachagua has been permitted to run for the presidency. He's going to support Matiang'i or Kalonzo or Eugene or Natembea. Reason is people usually sit down and they will ask you, how many votes do you have? Like Gachagua have maybe 5 million. How do you support someone with 1.2 million and you have 5 million votes? Then other than votes, they will ask you, how much do you have? What they did to Kalonzo. When Kalonzo was demanding for the position of the deputy president or running mate for Raila Odinga, they asked Kalonzo Musyoka, okay, you have votes, but how much do you have? Then there was somebody paid for, somebody sponsored Karua to be Raila's running mate. Those are entails with people, some are not paid to the public. But it has been even the 2017, when Kalonzo was given that running mate for Raila Odinga, Dama came out and stated clearly that it is him who paid for Kalonzo to be the running mate. So there are things that must be asked first, that how much do you have to sponsor the presidential candidate? How many votes do you have from your community? How can someone with more votes support someone with lesser votes? It is quite impossible. It cannot happen when people are sitting on the table, unless it is certain cases whereby now a Kikuyu president was leaving and they were ready to support another person like Kikuyu. That's why Rigathi Gachagua has to play a second field to Ruto. But in this case whereby Matiang'i got 1.2 million votes, Rigathi Gachagua got 5 million, how do you support someone with 1.2 million votes? Gachagua, if at all is permitted by the Supreme Court to run for the presidency, there's no way Gachagua is going to support Matiang'i. Gachagua will go for it. It's Matiang'i to support Gachagua. Number two, if Gachagua is going to be disallowed by the court not to run for any seat, he must sacrifice. He's neither going to play second field nor going to go for presidency. There must be now a new formation. Either Kalonzo Matiang'i or Matiang'i Natembea. It will depend on how they decide. That's why I feel I'll just urge the people to be a little bit patient before they make a conclusive fate of Rigathi Gachagua, because there is still legal questions. There's still some substantive constitutional questions that must be addressed by the apex court of the Supreme Court. So once we are done that question, we come back to conclusion. But right now, we are ready to discuss the fate of Rigathi Gachagua or the fate of his new political party.
There's a question for you on the screen. One them is asking Nico Naswali for Miguda. What is Orengo trying to say? Miguda?
Okay, I'll respond to one dem 99 very candidly. And he need to correct, I'm not Oguda, I'm Miguda. We are far from Oguda, I'm Miguda. Orengo is trying to say, Orengo has said many things, so I don't know which context is he referring to, but for me to have a brief about it, because Orengo has been...
I think he's asking about his political stance lately. I think that is what he's asking.
Orengo, I personally, one dem 99, I'm a firm believer and I'm a follower and a supporter and someone who understands James Orengo. And I think I'm one of the people who understands him better. Orengo is very clear in his mind. It's very clear. Orengo, first, as a defender of the human rights and a constitutional lawyer and a government officer, he has some duties to perform and as a patriot. Orengo is simply defending the rights of the people. Orengo is advocating for the compensation of the victims. Orengo is telling the government that they are liable for the people who died during demonstration and the people who lost their lives and who were injured. It's trying to remind them that you need to protect the citizens because you took an oath of an office to protect your citizens. Therefore, your police officers cannot kill your citizens and you are running out of responsibility. You are running out of liability. You don't want to be liable. Defending the rights of the people, number one. Number two, Orengo is defending the constitution because it's very clear in black and white that each and every person has a duty to defend the constitution. Each and every person has a duty to uphold the constitution. Because you sworn in with the Bible and the constitution, you are going to uphold that constitution. Therefore, you must uphold that constitution. Constitution is very clear that each and every person has a right to life. It's very clear that the president is the symbol of the national unity. Therefore, you cannot purport to be the president and you are not ready to compensate for the lives which you uphold the constitution you are going to protect. And the constitution is very clear that you must respect those rights and fundamental freedoms. Orengo is defending the institution, that the fact that he's the governor of CI and Mr. Ruto is the president of the Republic of Kenya, he got no issue with the president. There's that coordination and cooperation between the county government and the national government. And there's that separation of power, checks and balances between the judiciary, executive, judiciary, and the legislature. Therefore, those institutions must be respected. The president must respect parliament. The president should not compromise members of parliament. The president should not capture parliament. He must respect independence of the parliament. Parliament ought to be independent. The parliament should not be run from the executive. The president should stop influencing decisions by the courts. Courts need to be independent. The president should stop carrying out duties which are recognized by the constitution that belongs to the county government. The issue of markets. We understand that markets belong to the county government. Health has been devolved, but now is coming to override at the issues which should be dealt with at county level. With that one, he has not respect. So Orengo is very clear, and you cannot even have an impeachment motion against Orengo because there is no gross violation on Orengo, there's no gross misconduct, there is no crimes that he has committed either locally or internationally. And if you bring an impeachment motion, maybe it can be impeached by the county assembly because the ODM fact or the ODM factor in that region. But the Senate might save Orengo, the courts might save Orengo. That's why Orengo is very clear, and there's no issue here. It's just a matter of trying to enlighten the people. The only point of departure I have with Orengo is that Orengo wants people to go to the streets, and we are telling Orengo, no, the fact that we align with your thoughts and your opinions, we are not going back to the street because if you go back to the streets, the Kenya National Police Service Commission is ready with live rounds and tear gas and water cannons, and some people can lose their lives. So we are not going back to the street. Number two, we are not going to do it unless that we are going to be abducted. So if Orengo can understand that we are not going back to the street, we respect the rights of the people, the constitution, the institution, and most importantly, we are going to advocate and transform the country peacefully, constitutionally, not through violence.
Mr. Migura, the last question before you go, there's a question here again from one day. Is asking, if I may ask, what has Ruto done for Nyanza to support him, according to people on the ground? Especially Miguda, what do you think of this IEBC? You can give your take on that, and then after that, we'll just close. Maybe a reminder to our viewers, this is Brother Benson Media, and we are also live at Brother Njiru Maura. So if you are watching from Brother Njiru Maura, you can also cross over and subscribe to Brother Benson Media, because we do a similar content. If you are also watching from over here at Brother Benson, you can also as well subscribe to Brother Njiru Maura. If you do so, it is a way of supporting us, and we'll really, really appreciate. Mr. Miguda, your last take on that comment, that question.
To begin with the first question, we are yet to witness what Ruto has done to the people of Nyanza. As things stand right now, there's no some substantive thing Ruto has done to the people of South Nyanza, other than collaborating with their regional kingpin. That's the only thing he has done. He has collaborated with the kingpin of the region, and he has also incorporated some two individuals from Nyanza or three into the government. But that he has done something to the people of support him. Also, you must also understand that Kenyan politics is more of tribal and is local. And the fact that right now the people of Mount Kenya have have sidelined William Ruto, automatically the people of Luo Nyanza will shift where there is no Mount Kenya. It is politics. It's always that because you understand there is no way people try to be united in 2002, but from 2002, whenever there is Mount Kenyan candidate, there's been a lake candidate. So I think that is what Ruto is thriving on. He's trying to take advantage of the situation. That and not that people of Nyanza are going to support him because Ruto is making some development towards or has improved their livelihood of the people of Nyanza. No, he has not done something the people of Nyanza. It's just a matter of politics. Politics of hatred, politics of ethnicity, the local politics, that's it's a certain region. I think that's why they are trying to support. But let me tell you one thing. It's not that the people of Nyanza are going to support William Ruto overwhelmingly. That is not surety, because if Raila Odinga has been on the ballot, Raila Odinga, you understand the way he commands massive numbers in that region. But you find out that 700,000 registered voters did not turn out to vote for Raila. So Ruto, I don't think many people can turn out to vote for Ruto. And also the fact that Raila is not on the ballot, many people will not waste their time to vote. So Ruto might pick some small votes in Nyanza. That's a fact. You can look for some votes elsewhere. And you have asked me about the issue of IBC. IBC, like we have said before, and we have said that IBC, as currently constituted, there is so much interest from the political class than the public. The members of the public have not been represented. The people who have been represented are the political class, and you have had people like Alonso crying left, right, and center because their people have not been incorporated. People thought that Nyachai could be given the chairperson or Amadi, depending on who was the favorite, because people understand Amadi is Raila's person, Nyachai Ruto's person. But we understand the current chair for the IBC, Edmond. Edmond is from Turkana, and he serves as the county attorney when Nanok was the governor. And remember the government of Turkana for the last 10 years, when Nanok was the governor, it was the government for the ODM, because Nanok was an ODM guy. And now bringing chairperson who serves the county attorney of the ODM. And right now, Nanok is more of a P of Ruto State House. It means that this chairperson has aligned to Raila and Ruto. So that is their chairperson, and the Ritu, you understand where she came from, political parties, and also what she did to ODM by the time she was getting instruction from William Ruto, and that is those person. This Obiambo from Kisumu and someone from Lamu, someone from also from I don't know Mandela Garis. You understand right now the collaboration between the government and the people, the Somali nation. So basically, I can conclude by saying that the constituted IBC is aligning to the status quo. It is going to work for the status quo, and that's why because they have that prerogative to appoint the chairperson and other commissions. So it was obvious they were going to appoint the people who are aligned to their thoughts. And that's why we are telling the people that we should not worry you. It's a matter of how the opposition are going to organize themselves. Because with them right now, what they're having the national returning officer, that's the chairperson for the IEC. So the constitution is so very clear that the only person who is mandated to hear Mr. President is the chairperson for the IEC, that guy from Turkana. What happened previously? You understand, even when we have two factors, previous elections, there was Cherera 4 and Chebukati 3. But even if the dissenting opinion was the majority could not declare Raila because the only person who is supposed to declare the president is the returning officer. That's why Ruto had his way with Chebukati, and Chebukati had to declare Ruto because that's what it is provided the position. That's why I believe that currently the status quo, they are aware that Edmund is the only person who can declare the president, even if you have different factors, whereby even you have the majority, because it is obvious that when you have the majority and the minority, it's majority who must have a say. But the constitution is strict to an extent that even if you have the majority in that commission, but the only person who can declare the president is the chairperson. So I believe that IBC is aligned, the entire commission is aligned to the status quo. That one must be understood very well. Back to you, Makubura.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Migoda, for giving that clarification. To our viewers, once again, you're watching us in two channels, one Brother Benson Media and the other one Brother Njiru Maura talk talk room or talk show. Yeah, so if you're watching us from either, we kindly request you that if you're watching at Brother Benson, you can cross over and also subscribe at Brother Njiru Maura. If you're watching at Brother Njiru Maura, you can also cross over and subscribe at Brother Benson Media. We do similar contents and we are requesting for your support by simply subscribing. We really appreciate. Thank you so much. One Day 99. I think Miguda has answered you very well. Miguda, I'll give you a chance to give your last remarks before we close.
My last thought, I would just like to focus on the youths that we know that we have the energy, we have the synergy to fight for our rights. But even though we are fighting for our rights, the political rights, we should also consider the economical rights and our social rights. We cannot only fight on the street. The street is no longer safe for young people because National Police Service Commission getting instruction from somewhere to deal with the people ruthlessly. We have lost so many lives. We are not ready to lose any life. Therefore, we urge the young people that if we must fight for our rights, let us use other avenues other than the street. This is not safe. And let not politicians ride on the wave of the youth because with them, after we have lost our lives, they're the people who are getting positions. And they're the people, some certain people right now, trying to align with the wave of the youth. But I ask your question, as a young person, are you included? Are you on that table? Or are you on the menu? Most of times we are on the menu to be eaten. But we want to ask them that This time round, we want to be on the table, and we want to be where the decision of Kenya is being made. It must be part and parcel. It must be included. They show inclusivity. And if you cannot include us on that table, we are going to find our ways to legislature. We are going to find our ways to the executive. We are going to find our ways to the judiciary. We know how it will happen. Some will contest, some will get, some will lose. But the youth, if you get a youth as an aspirant, try to reconsider that youth and reward that youth so that we can have large number. We can be represented in the legislature. We can be represented in the executive. We can be represented in the judiciary because it is not only the street. It cannot only happen this. Even we can get a CS for finance as a youth or a CS for energy so that we can articulate our issues on those levels because people always have this belief that we can only solve our issues on the street. The more we go to the street, the more we lose our lives. Therefore, let us try to use other tactics and also we change our tactics and try to see how we can occupy these positions because we are the majority. Even if we decide that today the Nairobi governor must be a youth, we are going to elect a youth as Nairobi governor. The Nairobi senator must be, and all the Nairobi parliamentary seats is going to be occupied by youths. We are going to fix all members of parliament in Nairobi. They are going to be youths. It is very possible. Even our women rep, we must make sure that we bring a youthful women rep. That is how we can deal with these people. Let us not go to the street to be killed. We need those people because we are young people. We are still having a very long way to go. Let's just try to support our fellow. We don't even need to bribe your youth to vote for you. Just allow them to set their policies, articulate their issues. They don't need to bribe you. They don't need to have big cars or big houses. Provided is having an ideology and a philosophy that resonates so well with the transformation of the country, allow that person to participate in legislation, so to participate in education, also to participate in enforcement. That's my appeal to the youth. Back to you, Makobura.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Miguda, for finding time to be with us, and to Brother Njiru as well, and also Brother Benson. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge and to say a big thank you to everyone who joined us this evening. We really appreciate the fact that you took your time and you joined us and you participated in one way or another. We really appreciate and we pray that may God bless you abundantly. I also want to take this opportunity now to also wish you all a blessed night, a blessed morning, a blessed afternoon, a blessed evening from wherever you are watching us from. Thank you so much, and we hope that you'll join us again tomorrow. May God bless you. Asante sana. See you again tomorrow.